Hello, this is actually perfect. So this setup is I just wanted to make a very short video because I sold all my Lumix cameras because the S9 is coming out and the GH7 is coming out, so I wanted to capitalize on the maximum value of the G9 Mark II as much as I could. So right now I am no Lumix cameras at home, and I'm supposed to help out with the church. There's a baptism shoot tomorrow, so I'm borrowing the studio's A7 Mark IV again, and I've just been watching so much videos on the S9 and the GH7 that sometimes I just wanted to say a few things. I haven't written down anything. I'm actually supposed to sleep now. It's 1:25 a.m. and I'm just figuring out if there was a easy setup that I can just plonk this thing here and talk to the camera. So actually this shot looks very cool. I will take a I should take a video, huh? Right now I have a Hollyland microphone clipped onto a soldering stand, and I have the A7 Mark IV on what is a simple Manfrotto tabletop stand, and the light is just a cheap Taobao light, and behind me is a IKEA lamp. iPhone, come on, expose properly. Yeah, so that's what this is. Actually, it looks quite nice. I'm filming on f4. Fuck off. f2.8. Damn it. Yeah, f2.8. Okay, so now we're at f2.8. More blurry background. I think it should look nicer. So the things I wanted to talk about was, first of all, I think the whole S9 thing is kind of overrated and blown out of proportion. I think it's a fun camera. I don't know why everybody is trying to make it seem like it should have been a professional camera, or like there's some professional people saying how they want to use the S9 in a professional setting, and then the biggest con of this fun camera is that it's not professional. I think it's quite ridiculous because it wasn't marketed as a pro camera, right? It's marketed as a fun camera, so why it's kind of like, oh man, I have a professional film shoot coming. If only my G9 Mark II could shoot this commercial. No, you rent your cinema camera to shoot your cinema or kind of shots, your high-end budget commercials. You rent a high-end budget camera. Then it's likewise if you're going on a family holiday trip with your wife and kids, or your husband and whatever, but these are mostly it's a very male-dominated space. So with your wife and kids, you're not gonna want to bring an Arri Alexa with you and rig it up with a red Komodo and go, ooh, look at my manual focus lens. I need to get my second AC focus puller and rig out the mods. That's your professional setting, right? So I don't understand a lot of these YouTubers sometimes thinking, I cannot use the S9 because of the not professional limitations to do my professional work. Come on, it's a fun camera. So anyway, I'm saying all this because I've been looking for a full frame camera, and sometimes the middle of the road camera just doesn't cut it for me. So sometimes I feel like if I spend money on actually this A7 IV or the S5 Mark II or some of the Nikon cameras, I don't know why I just don't like Canon cameras. I think the body shape looks very alien, right? So there are a lot of the full frame cameras that I feel like are very good doing kind of everything, but it feels like I just can't do the things that maybe I want to do. I can't explain it, but there's always something missing. you crop in, or it's slow on the rolling shutter, or it's too cheap, there's a line skipping, the video sucks, there's compression in the video, or there's always something wrong somewhere, and it's kind of irritating to me. So none of the full frame stuff other than the Nikon Z8, that one is like wow, but it's a little bit too much, because then the recording options are like super good 8K RAW, ProRes 12-bit, very heavy footage also, and then sucks. Everything sucks after that. Just like 8-bit 420, hyper compressed H.265. It's kind of like, why can't you have everything in the middle also, so you can have a range, right? So then with Lumix in general, what I like is that they tend to try and put everything they have, and you are limited by their current technology, which is usually the sensor. They just don't have fantastic full frame sensors yet, but right now maybe they might have something going on. So the S5 II was kind of like I don't know, it's kind of big, but it's also not small, and it's kind of like this A7 IV, but it's also kind of like something not attractive to me. But I still wanted to play with something with full frame, just for that full frame look. So the S9 is basically the S5 II, but small, and it doesn't promise to be professional. It's quite expensive for what it is, but it's fun. It's fun looking. So I was thinking, I want to capture nice moments, more like just moments, small videos here, some photos there. I'm not making a movie, and it doesn't really make sense if I always wanted to bring out the S5 if I bought one. It's a bit big, it's a bit serious. People might think you are, whoa, Mr. Photographer is here. Sometimes you just like the image, and the unassuming look of the S9, I think, is quite appealing for me, because it makes it feel more casual, and then you can slap on casual stuff, lenses, play around. It's a fun camera, so it's quite exciting to be able to have the middle of the road S5 II inside an extremely fun camera body, which you can adapt many lenses and also put on a lot of different high quality L-mount glass, which what I'm really hoping is that the S1H2 or whatever, whenever I got money lah, whenever Lumix comes up with their full frame, finally an actual full frame powerhouse after many years of the S1H, now with the face detect, right? Maybe I would have invested enough into L-mount that might make sense. I don't particularly like the idea that I'm going to be all in to Panasonic Lumix cameras, because their market share is not the steadiest, so there's a chance they might end up like Olympus, but I'm really hoping not lah, because of all the camera companies and cameras out there, I find Panasonic to have the clearest, best camera out there. What I mean is, if you're thinking, okay, if I want a Panasonic photo micro four thirds camera, there's one. If I want a Panasonic photo video micro four thirds camera, there's one, GH7. If I want a full frame camera, currently there's only one, the S5 II or X. I mean, of course there's a lot of other ones, but at this point with the whole face detect autofocus, right, there's just these. So, and they generally just put everything they have inside. They just keep shoving everything they got inside, because they gotta sell the cameras, right? And they're not doing so well, so they just shove everything they have into these cameras. And it feels really nice to know that the company is really trying their best, as opposed to like some other cameras, I feel like it feels like they're trying to decide what features do they need to take out so that the other models make sense. It's really quite irritating to me, and it's nice when companies just have a few models. So I mean, if you take it to the extreme with RE, you just got the RE Mini, Alexa Mini, LF for the big one, Alexa 35 for the Super 35, the new 35, and then it's mostly it. It's an easy thing. With Sony, there's so many models. What a first world problem. But anyway, I just wanted to say that I'm actually very excited about the S9 as my fun camera and the GH7 as the main video camera, which I don't think I'll have any limitations, because as with my journey into all these things, I realize the only biggest limitation Micro Four Thirds really has is shallow depth of field and one stop in dynamic range, because most of the full frame cameras are 14 plus stops and the GH7 is 13 plus stops. So unless you really need that one stop in the sky, or to be able to see a little bit more in that lamp, the extra stop is not the biggest deal. What really makes the biggest deal is how many lenses you can bring out with you and how many lenses you want to bring out with you, and how much do you need to keep cropping in if you want to get slow motion. And if you happen to need to suddenly shoot something life-changing or important and you want the highest quality to preserve something and play around or send it to a friend or maybe do a spontaneous paid gig, whatever it is lah, I think the GH7 actually has everything that you kind of may need except depth of field. And even then, if you really need depth of field, you can sacrifice size and adapt nonsense in front of your camera and still you can get depth of field, because apparently it's not the sensor of a full frame that gives you shallow depth of field. It's the bloody size of the lens in front that gives you the depth of field. The problem with the big full frame lens and the Micro Four Thirds camera sensor is that you're just getting a tiny portion of that lens. So the speed booster thing helps to direct the entire giant lens onto the small sensor, and you get your shallow depth of field. So it's not the full frame sensor, it's the full frame lens. I wish I knew that earlier. So you don't need full frame to get full frame look. It's the size of the lens. So in theory, if Panasonic decided to, they could make very giant Micro Four Thirds lenses and focal reduce it themselves into the sensor, and then you get 0.6 f whatever lah. Because I wish I knew this earlier also lah. The f number is not the bokeh. The f number is the relation of the opening to the millimeter focal length of the lens. That's it. It's just how big it is in relation to that focal length. 1.717 mm. That's just how big the hole is. That's it. That's really it. So 2.8. That's just depending on how big your lens is. So there's some. It's not the bokeh. And then t-stops is the measurement of light. So I don't think there is actually a measurement of bokeh. So, and bokeh depth of field, it's just how big your lens is. So bigger lens, blurrier background, smaller lens, sharper background, and not everything is all about depth of field. I think being able to have something to say in a frame, in an image, having something you want to put together, capturing an important moment for you to remember for a lifetime. I think being able to have something that you enjoy using is probably more important than having something that other people think you should and be enjoying. So that's why I wanted to rant. I don't know what this is about lah, but I just thought I'm gonna have this camera for the weekend. I think it'd be quite fun to test out this setup where I have the Holyland microphone recording on its own on a soldering stand as I talk about the S9 and the GH7, and my very low-key, internally high-key excitement about the two new cameras that I'm gonna get. I really hope the S9 comes in next week. I already bought a 50mm 1.8, and there's a second-hand Laowa Nanomorph 35mm anamorphic lens that I also want to try out playing with. I think that will be very exciting to bring out a tiny anamorphic lens with a very tiny, unassuming Leica looking Lumix camera and see what comes out of it. I think that's quite cool. Okay, I think that's it. I should go and sleep. Thanks for watching. I actually find it very interesting that all these kind of videos that I'm making, I can't believe there are people watching. Thanks for your time. I hope it was fun listening to me, and I actually enjoy the small conversations that happen in the comments with the few people that bother talking, commenting. So thanks for taking time out of your day, and I hope you enjoy your hobbies as much as I do. Okay, bye bye.